That is where the ball now goes into Brandon Beane's court. This is his offseason. I think that Sean has shown he's adapted. He's grown as a coach. He's grown as that CEO head coach. And that's all signs of improvement. I don't think they played scared. No. I just don't think they had the horses when you look down to that top tier of the roster.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fetes. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We always appreciate it. All right, we're going to have plenty of off-season coverage, but this week we were thinking about how we could have been, would have been in New Orleans, getting ready for a Bills Super Bowl, all the things that go into it. And I know a lot of fans are feeling that way as well. So we wanted to break down where this team was at, where they want to go, and how you are feeling about this.
Well, I wish we were in New Orleans. That would have been a blast.
The amount of beignets that I would have consumed.
The amount of gumbo in my belly.
Gumbo
would have been elite.
Have you ever been to New Orleans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to tell a quick New Orleans story. So Dan and I were down there for Thanksgiving game.
Trey White.
Okay. And yes, when Trey got injured, terrible. But the game, you'd think New Orleans, known for food. First of all, breakfast on Thanksgiving, we ended up with the 3-day-old sandwiches they sell at Starbucks because we couldn't find another place open in the morning because everybody's out for 14 hours the night before. At the game, not great food in the box, but Dan sitting there with the media food, this crappy sandwich in a box. Phone. We might throw the picture up on the pod. It's a pretty good picture.
I have it.
Yeah. You can cut this pod. You got the pick.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. You've done a lot today.
That was our example of being in New Orleans. It was fun. It was not during a big event. It was just the game on Thanksgiving.
It was the night game.
Yes.
And then the next year was Detroit, and they had elite food.
Yeah.
They did. And that you always hear about Dallas and the mac and cheese and everything that they do well on Thanksgiving.
Dallas
Thanksgiving was
phenomenal.
I had a ham sandwich.
So we did have the beignet, right?
Beignet.
Yeah. So we wanted to go to the famous place in New Orleans.
Correct.
Cafe Du Monde.
But the line, it was a lot of Bills fans,
yeah,
was like around the block.
Yeah.
So we did have them on the way to the airport.
There's in
the airport at like 5 o'clock in the morning when we were getting ready to get on the plane.
Yes.
And they
Cafe Du Monde.
They are just filled with powdered sugar. Like,
yeah,
they're beautiful.
It's amazing.
It's yes.
Okay, so we're not in New Orleans.
No. That's why we just that part, and then the other part of getting to see the Bills, because as big as the Bills are now, when they do get to the Super Bowl, the growth will be exponential. People will know, they know Josh Allen, but they will know him even more. They will know this team even more. They will know the fan base even more. I mean, this game with the whole week of buildup. I mean, they talk basically every day.
Yeah.
And it's in front of the whole sports world. It'll be cool when it happens, and I think it will.
Did anything surprise you guys about the media night?
It's awful.
Yeah, I think it's horrendous.
It is so awkward and clumsy. When they come out, it's like a bad pep rally. Both teams, they ask
go off, King,
kind of dumb questions. The players are standing there next to each other. You don't hear, I mean, there's a crowd there, but it's not like a crazy crowd.
Right.
I just, that part, before they even get to when they're all at their individual podiums.
Yes.
The NFL's got to work on that because it is lame.
The NFL's got to work on a couple things.
Yeah.
They got to work on writing a better script for better officials. They got to work on figuring out the Pro Bowl games or whatever that is, because that's a major flop. And I think they still have to work on, and Roger Goodell said, like, they are testing things to figure out officiating and measurements. I don't think that that's crazy to think. I do agree, and Beane talked about it last week, was the fact of there is no minor league.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that. I thought that was the best explanation I've heard as to why they are still using chains and 70-year-old men to hold up sticks to
They don't
measure.
use the chains anymore. Have you noticed that? It is cut down by like 70% this year, the times they actually run the chains out there.
Yes.
It's kind of wild. It used to happen
All the
like
time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And now they don't do it. I will say, yes, I will say this. It's easy to say use because nothing
When's
in
Gene's
sports,
territory using the index
I
card
know,
again?
that's hilarious. That nothing has worked better in pro sports or in sports in general than the line cameras for tennis.
Yeah.
They're spectacular.
Correct.
I mean, you see it, it's done. Like John McEnroe wouldn't have known who to yell at, right?
Yes.
But there's no people in front of him.
Correct.
It's so different than bodies in front.
Well, that's
and the
why
measurements.
I've always said the case. Like I think what the MLB actually did somewhat right was the pitch clock. But to Beane's point, they implemented that in the minor league system. They implemented that in other leagues, like Arizona League, to see how it works. So I do understand that. I think officiating is bad. I think they have an officiating problem. I think it needs to be better where it's the biggest business in the world and your officials are part-time.
All right. I will push back on this. I think it's by far the hardest sport to officiate.
I didn't say it was easy.
And I'd say, I don't know what these guys do full-time. Right?
Correct.
I don't know what they would do full-time. It's about being on that field and making those calls in real time. I think what it's failing them is they have the technology to help them in so many ways. That's where it fails to me. That play was reviewed. It should have taken some common sense where Josh Allen has his back to you. You know the ball's not here and it's not here. It has to be here. It had to be over the line. That's the part that fails them because the technology allows us to slow it down in HD and you figure where the line is, and yet they still don't change the call. The fact that if it was a 30-year-old ref or a 60-year-old ref, they're not going to see everything, but the fact that they don't use it as well as they could. They've gotten a little better with the eye in the sky, quick changes. They should have done it on the third down play because I thought Kincaid had the first.
Yeah.
But my point is when they get to the next step, you look and you go, how did they not change that play? Or why are they not reviewing some of these personal fouls that you see the replay and he's dragging him by the face mask and you don't change the call? That's the part where I think the NFL loses credibility because the technology has gotten so much better.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think people get so frustrated with is that there is the technology available for you to get better at this. And sometimes it feels like the NFL is like, well, no, we can't do that. We don't want to do that. And it's like, you have this available. Why wouldn't you want to have people have more faith in your product? And it seems, I agree, like not having a minor league does add a wrinkle to that, but also it's something that's been overdue for a while. And the excuse of, well, we haven't done it, to me is not a good enough reason.
Well, that's where I've always felt like baseball has sat on their throne of integrity and tradition. And to your point, I understand because I've always said, especially the strike zone. Yes, there's some subjectiveness to it. Nailed it.
Got it.
Nailed it.
Very good.
But you don't want to see a game decided because an umpire missed a call on a pitch that hit the zone and he called it a ball. So you don't want to. And to Tennis's point, there's nothing obstructing the pitcher and home plate. I get it. But where there is an obstruction in the NFL game is by the amount of 57 cameras. So to your point, yes, they have improved the eye in the sky. They have improved those things. It's got to advance. It's got to advance where the ref says, this guy throws the flag and says, I think he grabbed him. And then they can quickly see from the other camera angle, which everybody at home sees, he did not grab him. They can say, hey, we're picking up the flag upon review. It is not a foul.
Do you really think they should go down that?
Yes.
I don't. I think then it slows the game down. I think there is enough.
I don't care about the length of games. I want calls right.
The NFL cares about it.
I don't care. It's the same thing with baseball. If baseball games were 3.5 hours, but it was umpired correctly, I do not care how long games are. And I don't think fans and advertisers and money would care how long games.
The league doesn't want the game. Now, I'm saying is, if you watch the minor league baseball thing with the pitches, it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is like, oh, review, done, show it, strike, move on. If you blink, you miss it. It is done so quickly and so efficiently. I'm not sure why they don't just bring it to the major leagues. I mean, Angel Hernandez was umpiring, right?
Yes.
He's worse than, but I wonder, do you want to go down the line of saying, well, was that a hold? Was it not a hold? I think there is a lot of calls that could be changed or added, and especially personal fouls.
I think you can expand it. I'm not saying you go fully into it, but I think you can expand it to when Sam Darnold's head gets ripped off and we sit there like,
oh yeah,
I don't know. I didn't see it. Well, everybody else saw it. So we should have some common sense. It's also what hockey did. For the longest time, hockey was the whole puck had to cross the net. And they had that camera over top.
Yep.
And there'd be times when the puck would go into the goalie's glove and you couldn't see the puck cross the line. But it's in his glove. So you use common sense to say the entire puck must be in his glove, which is in the net. That's where I feel like they're lacking.
I completely agree. And it's that because in terms of the fourth down with Josh Allen, it's like they originally ruled that he was short and there wasn't enough evidence to overturn that fact. But if you just use common sense, you realize, well, if where Josh is at and where the ball is, even though you can't see the ball, you know the ball exists.
Right.
So it's that common sense approach of like, hey, I know we originally called it this, but upon looking at it, we don't have the technical. That's the one thing where I feel like they got caught up in is like, oh, well, we don't have the technical evidence to see exactly that the ball did cross the line. So we can't overturn it because of that. When if you just take a step back, you're like, guys, obviously the ball was
the ball
across.
is there and you
Yeah.
can see it. That's when I say sometimes it's tough to go all the way to the next step.
Agreed.
The part about personal fouls just cracks me up. You have a play where they're judging whether the player stepped on the line or not. They're reviewing it. While reviewing it, it is two hands on the face mask, dragging them down.
Yeah.
And yet the league doesn't allow them to make that call. That is absurd. You
Agreed.
see it. And you could even say it is for player safety because you know what the NFL is going to do after that anyhow.
Safety.
Because they're going to fine them. Because as I say, I whine about this, I guess whine or complain about it all the time. No league in the world wants to take money from their players more than the NFL.
Crazy.
They love
It's
it.
20,000, 30,000, 15,000, and it's all kinds of nonsense that they love to take the players' money and they don't make the call. I mean, Kelsey should have gotten called for taunting in the game.
Yeah.
It was a blatant example of taunting and they didn't call it, but then there was fines. So I'm with you on that. I mean, there's plays, right, that is always going to be frustrating. The Eagles are playing the Chiefs 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. Came down to a call at the end. The Eagles got called for holding. There's no review that's going to take away that hold.
I agree.
The part of that game that was frustrating, especially if you were not rooting for the Chiefs, was they didn't call that the whole game and then they call it. But that's fine with me. If that call is made as a judgment call, a review wouldn't change it anyhow. That might be where you would say that's kind of poor officiating because
It's not
that didn't need to
continuous.
be called, especially in that moment, but you're not going to change those
But
calls.
see, I hate that argument of we're not going to change something because we don't want it to go all the way to the other extreme of like not having officials. That's why the MLB was like, well, if you take away the balls and strikes, then just get rid of umpires. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for if the umpires, if the referees in football
Right.
need help on something, they should have the help using the
I
technology
agree.
that the NFL has poured into every other aspect of the sport.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting umpires to be perfect. I'm expecting if there's a bang bang play at first base, we should be able to take a look at it with the technology that everybody has on their phone, on everything else to say, oh, he was out and the umpire called him safe and we can fix it. MLB's gotten quicker at that.
Much
gotten,
better.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
If MLB is ahead of you,
so I'm not
you know you're
That-
having
yeah.
trouble.
So I'm
Yeah.
not sitting there saying, oh, we have to review every single holding call. So people are like, well, no, you can't review penalties because then you have to review. No, but you can review personal fouls. Did
Yeah.
he hit him in the head? Did he grab his face mask?
1,000%.
That kind of stuff should
Yes.
be able to have common sense to
Mhm.
say, hey, how many times have we seen a face mask? And I've had somebody sitting next to me, not Michael, say, well, the umpire or the ref isn't looking there. Well, where is he looking? Where is he? The guy is carrying the ball and his head gets jerked back.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there and it's like, well, he wasn't looking there. Okay, well, there was a camera somewhere
Yes.
that saw it. And it should be easy to buzz down and say, whatever you want to say. Upon further review, there was a 15-yard face mask. Boom, game moves on.
And to your point, and you guys are on the field, the game moves fast.
It does.
It's big, strong,
It
and
does.
fast.
Yeah.
So we don't expect them to see everything.
That's
But
my point.
That's where I say to the NFL, there is
What are
so
we
many
doing?
options to make it better than it is. I do like the idea of the quick reviews on certain things, but they don't do it enough. And I don't know exactly what it is where they'll say, oh, he was ruled a yard short or whatever it happened to be, and keep moving it along because you have the cameras and you have the technology. It's just the NFL is hypocritical a lot of times with what they say.
What?
And yes. And then what they actually do.
Do you feel like, because obviously 2021 overtime game, Josh Mahomes, they changed the rules after that to allow the other team to get possession because essentially of what happened in that game. Now they come out after this game, most recently saying that they're going to look into electronically measuring first downs and stuff. If you're a Bills fan, are you like, of course, or like, how can you approach that? Because it does feel frustrating.
Well, it's one thing because your guy is in the biggest games, right? And when it happens, and it happens to be that case. Of course, it used to be overtime, kick a field goal and you win. Then they made it into a touchdown, and then they made it where both teams get the ball no matter what, as long as they start that way. Of course, last year in the Super Bowl, in the old rules, when the Niners kicked the field goal, they win the game.
Right.
Chiefs got the benefit of it, drove down, but they got the touchdown to win it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one about measuring, I still think that fully doing that is off a little bit of time. And I don't know. Listen, I'll say this. I think it was a bad call and a bad review. I wish it was more obvious. I wish he was a foot and a half past the line, 2 feet past the line. It was like, it was bad, but it wasn't the worst non-overturned call I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But to the point you guys made in the beginning, too, the common sense element just is so frustrating because it's common sense for the refs during the game.
Yep.
Why shouldn't it be common sense when we're looking at the replay?
Yeah.
And you see where the guy was and what the intent was. So they've got a lot to work on, but
and listen,
it does hurt if you're a Bills fan.
Yes.
To be a rule changes.
It's interesting though that like both of these times it feels like it's been in response.
And I understand,
and the Chiefs get
Bills,
the benefit.
Yeah, and I understand all of that. And Goodell's like, oh, the script that I wrote, and like I get it. Okay, like
so
I do think some of the ref talk is a little bit hyperbolic. I think it's a little bit conspiracy. I think it's a little bit the government controls the weather. Like when they give you stats and say the Chiefs are 19-2 with this official over this, it's like the Chiefs have won a lot of games.
Yeah.
The Eagles probably
the Bills too.
Yeah.
Right. They win a lot of games.
So like that I don't buy.
You know what hurts too?
This official.
They have that media day you were talking about. And you got some dipshit walking around saying to the Chiefs, who's your favorite official? Like, I know they give credentials to like a lot of people.
They give credentials to like everyone.
It's wild. By the way, if you do nothing more than post yourself on the field for an Instagram story, that doesn't mean you cover the team.
That is correct.
Isn't that the way it goes?
That is correct.
Like if you just take your picture, like that doesn't mean you cover that team.
Correct.
Yeah.
They had people at this media day, just clowns. And I think I shouldn't even say, because most real media people think that is like an absurd night.
Mhm.
Like you try to get it. It's all but to be doing that with the Chiefs only feeds into the Chiefs a little bit more because they're sitting there taking these questions. And Patrick Mahomes, say what you want, doesn't deserve that question at the podium at the Super Bowl.
I agree. Yeah.
It's comical.
It's funny
embarrassing.
for us. It's funny for us in the podcast, like when we had Haley on, and it was like, so are the Chiefs on the official? Do they live in Kansas? Like, that's funny. I do think that's the humor of creating content. I wouldn't go up and ask Patrick Mahomes that question.
Yeah. See, that's why it's so surprising to me, though, that they credential as many people as they do, and as many people who are like that, because it's like
combine similar.
But here's my thing. The Super Bowl is already a spectacle. People are already excited and watching and all that stuff. So like to make it a mockery, it's kind of, it's like you're almost devaluing your own product.
You're going to compare it to the combine?
Everybody and their mother goes to the combine. Gets approval. No. I'm talking about the level of the amount of credentials that they hand out.
Yes, but I would say most of the people at the combine are there to talk football.
I agree.
To Jenna's
all
thing.
I was saying was the amount of credentials.
Yeah.
Every single person, if you're watching, you could probably get credentialed for the NFL Combine.
I think the majority of the people at the Combine cover the NFL on a regular basis. What Jenna said, there are people there that is Joey's Chuckle Hut that he's got a podcast and he gets a Super Bowl credential.
Yeah.
And he's standing there talking to Patrick Mahomes.
We're agreeing on the same things. I'm just saying the amount of credentials that are handed out is exorbitant on both places.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm dropping big words left and right.
Yeah.
I would say
locked in.
I would say you're right. There's a lot of people. I would say
the volume of credentialed people is massive for both events. What always shocks me about the Super Bowl is just the amount of people that are literal like charades.
Yeah.
Like it's
Troll
like you
circus.
are. Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
where you're
so
like,
that's
you're
where I
not
was
even.
differentiating. And they do 6,000 credentials for the Super Bowl.
Their media room was in the parking garage.
I know.
It's
I don't
really
miss
funny.
that.
Okay. This was not where I was expecting.
Great
No,
open.
but I think this is, listen.
And Bills fans, you have all the right in the world to continue to post screenshots of the line that you draw and Josh, and continue to do it. You have all the right in the world to be upset. Like I get it. That's the part of being a fan that is fun and sucks at the same time when your team gets hosed.
Bad call, bad review. Didn't need to let them go down and score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion. But your team drove down, got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Their team went down. You held them to a field goal and you had a chance to win at the end. So bad call, all those things. The Bills overcame the bad call and still lost the game.
It's like when you're dating someone, you're like, you did all these things wrong. And then later down the line, they're like, I should change. And you're like, I told you were wrong in the moment.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Super Bowl week.
Mhm.
What does this team need to do, Mike, to get there?
Oh, they're there. They are right there. And they did it this year with a roster that was good, but lacking
Top tier,
a few top tier players. But I say that when they are a score away from beating the Chiefs back-to-back years. Of course, this year would have taken them to the Super Bowl. So to think that they're not right there with the Chiefs, it's that extra level. Now, does that mean it's, one pass rusher, one corner, one wide receiver? I don't know. Those things would all help. But it still comes down to those moments. It's like that play. Like some of it is executing on things that you have done.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is a mindset that changes a little bit. As I wanted to bring that up about what makes the Chiefs so good is they play with an openness and a freeness. That's the way Andy coaches. That's the way Spags coaches. That's the way Mahomes plays because they've already won.
Yeah.
They've won multiple times. Spagnuolo comes in and goes, I'm saving that blitz until I need it. And then he comes up with it. I think that's where the Bills lacked a little bit. I thought Joe Brady had a great year, but I think they played the hits a little too much and then got away from running the ball a little too much in that game. And I think it's because you are not sure if you can get past and you stick to what works.
Yeah,
that hurts them a little bit. And you got to get past that. You said they played loose, and I think they did after the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They were a little tight in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then they did. But I think it helps to be the team that's won, and it frees you up a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's also, that's why they can do the merry-go-round plays and make themselves look silly and that kind of stuff because it's like, hey, you can laugh at us. We've won.
We win.
We've done it. So I think that's part of it. I think a little bit it was just inexperience. Like the Bills are never going to go into a matchup. The Chiefs go into every single game having the head coach and the quarterback advantage.
Yeah.
I know there will be people in the comments, and I respect it and I understand it. I may not agree with it, but people were saying the Bills had the better quarterback in that game. They didn't. I hate to say that. It's just the Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
I think it's hard to, how do I say this? Statistically, obviously Mahomes did not have the best regular season last year, but when you look of the body of work, the accolades that he has accomplished, the places that he has been, it's hard to dispute that it is Mahomes.
Like we're talking about, every talk show can do it, is this run more impressive than what the Patriots did? Like this is a historic hump. Like this, okay? So it was funny, but the fact matters is that the resume is as much for a quarterback as it is your talent level. Do the Bills have the more talented quarterback? Yes, I would. I believe that full-heartedly. He's still Full. You can do full or whole. I'm gonna. It's
That's okay. You hit
You were close
hyperbolic.
though.
yeah.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
on a roll.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
going.
I was
This
feeling-
one's just a
this
minor
was a
bump
heat-
in the road.
This was a heat check. Curry
you were
3.
you were accurate, but just no one uses that phrase.
Yeah.
other than you.
It's okay.
So I know the comments they were like the
It
Bills had the
almost
better
sounded
quarterback.
like foolhardy.
Yeah. Full-hearted.
Foolhardy is like when you do something.
Full-heartedly.
Full-heartedly. We're getting into
Yes.
a grammar podcast, and I don't like it.
Okay,
But
but to your point about Josh is incredible, a great player. Mahomes has won. He's won. He comes through in the clutch. That I'm not blaming that all on Josh, but their resumes end at a certain point.
Correct.
And you can say numbers, you can say this. The guy's got Super Bowls, he's got MVPs, he has beaten them head to head 4 times in the playoffs. Is it all Josh's fault? No. Is it all Mahomes? No. Chris Jones has helped him get a couple of those rings,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot. But they have the best and it's funny, they have the best coach and the best quarterback. And Andy was never that guy until they got together, these two.
And
And
it's-
then it's been the advantage in the
Correct.
big games.
And it's not a knock. As I said, like Brady and the Bills stuck to who they were the entire season. It was a damn good season.
yeah.
They won 13 games, could have won 14. Like all of those things there. But Andy has the experience, the knowledge. He's better at. Me saying he's a better offensive coordinator than Joe Brady isn't a knock. I'm not kicking Joe Brady while he's down. It's the fact of, Greg Rousseau goes, we watched all the film. We never saw those 2 plays that they ran. That is what Andy Reid has. Joe Brady may get there. I believe that he had a great season and he used, to your point, the best that he had. But he's not Andy Reid. That's fine. But give Joe some more talent to what we're talking about of like, do we think they're Super Bowl contending? How close are they? They're right bleep in there.
They are right
like,
there.
So sit there. Just don't have Mac Hollins be the only guy catching big 3rd down passes in Khalil Shakir and give him some more weapons.
Yes.
Look, for how good Andy Reid is when they retooled their offense, they then went out and traded up for a wide receiver. They went out and signed Hollywood Brown. They went out and did things to improve their offense. That is where the ball now goes into Brandon Beane's court. This is his offseason.
Mhm.
I think that Sean has shown he's adapted. He's grown as a coach. He's grown as that CEO head coach. And that's all signs of improvement. I don't think they played scared.
No.
I just don't think they had the horses when you look down to that top tier of the roster.
I think you mentioned the experience factor, and I wholeheartedly agree with that
Nice.
because Andy Reid has the experience to know when to stay true to what you've been doing and when to mix it up because
Yep.
it has been successful. And for Joe Brady, in that moment, I feel like he was like, this is what has got us here. This is what we're going to keep doing. I don't want to zag now because we've been so good at what we've done. Whereas in that moment, you could say, hey, like what you're saying, what Greg Rousseau said, we hadn't seen those plays all season long. Like it just comes with experience. And that's why I do feel so hopeful of what Joe
Sure.
Brady can do because he did have such a great regular season.
Going to
I
learn
think
from that game.
that you can learn from that game, but the pieces, you're right. It's now on the pieces and what you can do to improve that. This team came together in a way that no one was expecting. And it showed you that with belief, you can get to a certain level, but talent is what will take you over the top.
Yeah. The house is really well built. It
Yeah.
needs some high-end fixtures.
Yeah, Zach.
No, but you know what I'm saying is now they need those difference makers. Because guess what? As great a coach as Spags is and Andy Reid, he has those difference makers.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
Chris Jones. He's got, McDuffie.
And I do think it's important. It's like, it does have to be the right talent.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want people to be like blind, like, because sometimes
They're not signing Tyreek Hill.
that's what I'm saying. Like you think of Stephon Diggs made this team immensely better, but I think with where the team is at now, it was
I know, but there's part of me that was like, what would that be like?
what bringing
Bad.
it back.
If Tyreek's running down.
Bad.
Oh,
Bad.
Tyreek Hill. Yeah,
Bad.
no. That's that is honestly crazy.
I just
Like,
go back.
when Beane talks about his big board,
Yeah.
like free agents, Tyreek's not on that list.
Okay.
They still will always-
I like to go back to history. Patriots, most buttoned up organization in the world. Randy Moss got thrown out of Oakland. He wasn't
Straight cash,
practicing,
homie.
doing nothing. They got him for a 4th round pick.
Nope.
And he came in and Brady went nuclear that year. They lost in the Super Bowl, obviously, but they won every game. He was putting up 40 a game. I just look sometimes and go, man, what would Josh do with I know he's wacko and all, but man, that kind of talent, that kind of speed.
There's still that's a historic dynasty. That's a franchise. I just don't see it in the cards. But I will say that
Andy did it that one year when they brought T.O. in. McNabb, it was sort of like the Bills. Good players, not great. They brought T.O. in. They went nuts and they made the Super Bowl. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's got to be him, but
it's funny because I think about Beane saying you're never one guy away.
Yeah,
and he did kind of push his chips in on Von, and we never got to see what that would be like in the postseason. In that first year when Von was still Von Miller. But he does talk. It's like a little bit like he's not talking out of both sides of his mouth, but he is contradicting himself a little bit when he says, "Hey, we're not one player away, but these games come down to one play." And who are those guys that make those plays consistently? They're those players that you're one guy away.
You know what I was thinking of? It was like Brandon the other day said, those guys aren't available very often. And then like 3 hours later,
yes, they are.
Myles Garrett is like, hey, I want to get traded. And it's almost like, in those circumstances in a game where you're going to go fight the other guy, but you really want your teammates to hold you back. So you're like, yeah, somebody hold me back. And then you're like, please, somebody hold me back. Like in this case, you say it because you don't expect anybody to be out there. And then in a heartbeat, maybe Myles Garrett. Doesn't even mean the Bills can get him. And we have an entire video on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it is kind of like they aren't available he's available. So
yeah, it's like quarterbacks don't get fully guaranteed contracts. And then the Browns are like, wait.
I guess that's the Browns. Yeah.
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 See, I'm sensing a trend.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to discuss?
No, I think,
do we want to do credit to me?
Okay.
Yeah.
You start.
Do we want to talk at least what we think the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah, that's probably good. Yeah, you start.
No, why don't we give the Eagle fan?
You go right ahead first.
Oh, yeah, wait. No.
Yeah, the Eagle fan.
What was it?
ELGLES. That's the mayor.
That's
not
great.
Bad.
Yeah,
what did the mayor of Boston say?
Oh, he couldn't say David Ortiz. Was it Ortiz?
Rajon Rondo was what he messed up too.
Oh, but I thought it was something about Big Papi too one time. Like, I don't remember.
Big Ortiz, I think he called him or something like that.
Yeah. Politicians just stay out of it. Look, the Eagles have a great roster. They have the best roster in the NFL. They do. The Chiefs have the best quarterback and the coach is what they have. I mean, I don't think anybody would really argue with that. It's a very different team than the one that played them 2 years ago, which is kind of wild because they basically have changed the defense. I mean, they have 2 rookies starting. I mean, they've got some guys. Now, how they play, they got Zach Bond. They signed. He's Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe he wins that they sign him. And Jalen Carter and all those guys. Their defense is a lot better. Their defense was so bad 2 years ago in the Super Bowl.
How bad were they?
I mean, they didn't stop anything at all that the Chiefs did. I think it's a different kind of game. I think Saquon's been incredible. I think if Hurts plays well, it doesn't have to be spectacular, but if Hurts plays well, throws it deep, the Eagles will score on the Chiefs because they will open it up and Saquon will run. So I think they have a very good chance to win the game. But if it comes down and it's close, it's the same thing Bills fans say. If it comes down and it's close, Mahomes wins those games. That's the thing. I think the Eagles' best shot is to get that lead like the Bills did on them in the regular season, and then the kill shot to put it away. That's their best shot. I think they can do it. I think they have a very good chance to do it, but we'll see Sunday.
Score prediction.
If I'm picking a score, I'm going to pick the Eagles just because I'm not picking the Chiefs. I'm going to say 30-25 Eagles.
Wow.
I'm like that kid that's holding up the sign that says, I just hope both teams lose.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I feel. But I'm just never going to bet against Patrick Mahomes in that big of a game.
Yeah. I mean, he did lose 31-9 in a Super Bowl.
Yep. He did.
Played one of the worst games a quarterback's ever played in the Super Bowl. Oh, he got sacked like 6 times.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, then he
No,
won.
the look to Jenna wasn't, I don't remember that Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'm
My
saying
daughter
it's-
was getting her first cast. We watched it in a New Jersey Hyatt house.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it?
It's fine. It's COVID, like not a single person in a hotel. It's kind of weird.
No, he'll play great. He always plays great.
Yeah, it also comes down to these spots where it's who has the advantage at quarterback and head coach. I think I would love the Eagles. I'd love, honestly, I know it wouldn't happen, but like a little bit for the narrative, Jenna. I would love the Chiefs to score like 35 points because everybody's like, well, the Chiefs haven't scored that many points all year. I'd kind of like that to be the narrative.
Oh, I see.
A little bit, to be like, I can't believe they gave up the most points all season. So I'd kind of like that, especially against a really good Eagles defense. I think the Eagles win I think the Chiefs win 31-27, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it.
Rooting for the asteroid.
No, I'm fine with the Eagles winning. Like, I think that would be really fun. I have a lot of friends that live in Philly and they love like the Eagles. Logan.
Thank you. Yep.
So I think that would be cool. I love Saquon. But I do expect the Chiefs to win this game. I just feel like if it's close, they can close the door, and they've just been so good in that spot. And I think it's hard. I always think about going into a game like quarterback and coach, who do you trust more? And both, I'm on the side of the Chiefs trusting more. I also kind of feel like in terms of this job, like if you were like the Bills have been so good, but it's always been the Chiefs eclipsing them, that it's like this Chiefs team has been so dominant that I expect them to win again.
Well, we've seen it. I mean, we've seen it up close and personal with the Bills. Like, it has been incredibly frustrating. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, how many times against them. And the Eagles experienced it, and the Niners experienced it, and everybody did. It's also a bit of a test in this case about building a roster, because I would think you go back a long, long time to find a team with a better offensive line and defensive line than the Eagles.
Agreed.
Have.
No, that's fair.
It
Like on paper, I'm like, this is Eagles all day. But then I factor in who the Chiefs are, and some of those things are not quantifiable on. In terms
it is
of
kind of wild that
quantifiable.
Can't
Very
spell
nice.
it.
But it is kind of wild that
You
the best game Hurts has played was against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. He put up
spectacular
35 on them in that game.
That was a while ago.
It was 2 years.
A while ago.
That was 2023.
And
that's nuts.
That's without Saquon Barkley in that case. And honestly, I hate to say this, I love Jason Kelce. I think the offensive line is better this year.
I'm trust tree. I'm so sick
of the
Kelce brothers.
Yeah, there's too much Kelce.
It's
Kelce. Jason is
everywhere.
They're all everywhere, and I it's just a little bit too much overexposure.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Well, they haven't made it on Buffalo Plus, so we'll keep them off.
We'll get Jason on.
We get Kylie.
I love.
She's on a lot too.
I love Kylie. It's a lot.
I also want to thank fellow Bomber Mike Faber, Buffalo Plus subscriber, Bills fan, Western New Yorker. We sent him. I think we sent him some hats.
I believe
we should have. Yes, I think we did.
Yeah.
And he sent us a gift of candy, popcorn, and
chocolates.
Candy. Jenna ate all of it.
I was bad.
It was
really good.
Real
toffee,
and it was spectacular.
It was toffee popcorn with like almonds in it.
Yeah,
I love toffee.
Yeah, so good.
Credit to me, didn't have any of it.
Well, because I ate too much.
I'm also just not a candy guy. Or like a
grow
sweet,
up.
It's not a sweet guy.
It's so good. By the way,
think you're better than me.
This is pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah. See, but that's why I like the popcorn too, because it's salty and sweet.
One other thing I want to add. Tom Brady will be bad in the Super Bowl. I was listening to a podcast. They were describing Brady. And I want to tell these guys are at the Ringer. They have a great podcast. But they are describing Brady as an announcer the same way teams describe their young quarterback who hasn't come around yet.
Gets him in and out of the huddles.
But it's like, I think he'll get better. He'll do this. He'll do that. He's not wired to be good as a broadcaster.
No.
He's not self-deprecating enough. He doesn't see the game or communicate the game in the same way. He may have some moments, honestly, and then people criticize him because
he can't.
You started out top, and you aren't that level of a broadcaster.
Yeah.
You replaced a guy You're not as good as. I think there's several guys on Fox that would have been better.
Yeah,
choice.
Olsen was better.
Certainly better. And he's going to do this
Yeah.
game. And if you're going to listen, I think he's going to frustrate you. I know he's won 7 Super Bowls. He's the greatest of all time. I don't know if that necessarily makes you a great broadcaster.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think he's that bad.
I think he's pretty mediocre.
I think he's mediocre too, but I'm not like,
Mediocre.
I don't know. He doesn't, I'm not like, I can't believe it.
But you can't be Tom Brady and be mediocre.
Correct.
That's fair.
And
I
if he's
also
on
don't,
there.
I don't mind Tony Romo. So I feel like a lot of people
Because
cannot.
Tony Romo was a talented but flawed guy. And he talks like he's at the bar and he's got
Yeah.
that element to
I know,
him.
but a lot of people hate Tony Romo.
They do, but they hate him. And
It's
then there's other
wild.
people that love him. I just Brady.
No, I don't think people love him anymore.
well,
Tony Romo.
maybe he's lost. Some of
Also,
that.
these glasses make me feel like I have like 3D glasses on.
I can't wait till ABC gets the game, or was it ESPN?
You want to hear? Aikman ripping
I
people?
want to hear Aikman.
Aikman is lit now, man. He
Awesome.
just goes after people.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Clubfoot
care.
King. Clubfoot King.
That's right.
What
and
does that
he
mean?
is-
Yeah.
He is awesome.
Oh,
He had a
Dan-
club foot?
Oh no,
Yeah.
yeah. Dan tracked him down
yeah,
on the
tracked him
field.
down.
Oh, I don't even remember.
I
that.
look over. We're
It
on the
was the
field
Well,
in
give the
Jersey.
backstory in case people
Oh,
don't
my
know.
daughter was born with a club foot, and I knew that it was the DeMar Hamlin game, and it was the Monday night, and I remember catching up with they walk around the field pregame.
Hang on 1 second. I'm standing there on the field. I go, "Where's Dan?" I look. He's holding court with Aikman and Buck.
Yeah,
It's Dan and Aikman and Buck, and they're going and going and going. I'm like, damn.
Does
go
not
ahead.
shock me.
and we're sitting there. I was like, well, I gotta. John Rahm's also born with a club foot. I talked to him at the PGA Championship about it, and so it's just something I'm passionate about. And obviously,
Yeah.
when our daughter was born, and you think that her foot is facing her, she's never going to walk. And
Yeah.
people tell you, "Oh my gosh, don't worry, Troy Aikman had a club foot, and this person had a club foot, and they're all great." Mia Hamm,
What did Joe Buck
Mia
say?
Hamm had a club foot?
Yeah,
That's
and
incredible.
Michelle Kwan, and like
Can
the
you tell
figures.
the story of what you said to Renee?
Oh yeah, well, like it was a C-section, so I'm going the first one to go over and see our daughter, and I was unaware at what babies fresh out the oven look like, and my daughter's foot was turned this way, and so for a split second, I was like, maybe that's how all kids are tucked inside the belly, and so I sat there to the nurse and I said, "Hey, what's up with her foot?" And she's like, "Oh, she's born with a club foot. You didn't know that?" And I was like. And I had to walk back to my wife and be like, she's beautiful, hair, she's healthy. Her left foot makes a right-handed turn.
Oh, God.
She's still open on the table and she starts flipping out. And like the doctors from behind the curtain are like, it's going to be fine. Don't worry. She's going to be fine. So one of the names that first came up was Troy Aikman. So they're walking around the field. Fast forward a few years later, my daughter's great, running around. Everything's great. And I see Joe Buck and we kind of make eye contact and I make the first comment of like, hey, love you on Pardon My Take. Cause he always talks about how he goes on there.
And he said, "Love you on Buffalo Plus."
Yeah, big fan.
And he sits there and he's like, it's like, oh, I'd really like to talk to Troy. He's born with a club foot. So is my daughter. And Buck looks at me and goes, no, he doesn't. I was like, I'm 99% sure that Troy Aikman had a club foot. And he's like, I didn't know. No, I don't think so. So I'm sitting there trying to explain Troy Aikman to his longtime friend and broadcast partner. And I'm like, yeah, he's got a foundation. I like looked it up right then and there. I was like, he's got a club foot foundation. And so finally,
Oh, this is so good.
Hey,
I
he's
didn't
like-
know that. Yeah.
And he's sitting there and he's like, oh, Troy, come here. Talk to him about the bracing, the casting that my daughter has gone through. And he goes, back then, they pretty much just broke your foot and set it.
Yeah.
And then when it started to regress, they broke it again and set it. So he's talks about obviously the arthritis that he's dealt with in that foot. But it was one of those things where I was like, I'm the guy that told Joe Buck that his broadcast partner was born with a club foot.
That was well done. And to the
Put
point,
that on a t-shirt.
to the point about broadcasters, Troy Aikman just, I think, woke up one day and wanted violence, right?
Yeah,
That's what
he
said.
chose
He
violence,
just
yeah.
goes after everybody, the officials, Mahomes for faking falling down. Like
Love it.
he
Yeah.
just is like, I don't care.
Love it.
It's good. It's good stuff when he's going like that. So
All right. What are you doing for the Super Bowl?
I am with family. Oh, are we going to do quick credit to me?
Sure, go for it.
All right, I'm going to say credit to me. I am going to Jersey, be with my family, including Buffalo Plus subscriber Terry Catalana, my mom,
Yes,
who will
Terry.
be watching the game.
Hey!
She just had a birthday. They're
It's a-
all substantial to all of us.
Yes.
We'll keep the number to it, but
Yeah.
it's a good number for her,
Yeah.
and she's doing great. So we will all be
Love to hear it.
watching Go Birds at the game on
Go
Sunday.
Go Birds.
Yes. All right. Credit to you.
Everybody in our house is sick. So credit to all the parents out there that are dealing with this. We went through it during Christmas break. I have a 2-month-old, the 1.5-year-old's in daycare. Shane, the 4-year-old, is in school. We finally got we just put the stuff away. We just put the saline spray and the snot suckers and all of that stuff.
Those are so repulsive.
Just wait. Just wait.
She's out now.
Yeah, I'm way out.
And and then it was instantly, and our daughter was coughing last night, and now she's been home sick for the last 2 days. So credit to all the parents out there that are dealing with young kids going through they're just petri dishes coming home with viruses and stuff.
Yeah, it's really, really gross. I'm sorry.
Just wait.
Credit to me. I've been doing a lot of hot yoga. I've been dying on the mat. I know. It's been so bad.
Oh, that's
I
so good.
sweat a lot.
He
anyways.
goes from snot suckers, I believe is what you
That-
called
Snot
it.
sucker. Yep.
I'm doing hot yoga.
No, I'm dying.
Credit
It's
to
not-
me. I'm hot.
No. It's so hot in that bleeping room. No, now I'm blushing. But no, it's we're gonna figure out when we're gonna do the Pilates video for Mike. Now it's not gonna be heated. It's not heated. So
it'll be heated, all right.
yes, not in the temperature. Not
Yes.
in the temperature, but so we have plenty more
And
off-season
I'll
stuff.
partake to a level.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay. And then we're gonna have season superlatives, MVP stuff, best plays of the year. We got some big stuff coming down the
Yes, we're gonna have some
pipeline.
good
Yeah.
guests in the
So
off season.
so all of that great stuff, but just wanted to let everyone know that Michael will be.
Yep.
Can't wait. All right. So
And also let us know if there's anything you guys want us to do.
yeah.
Oh,
Like,
and maybe another
other
hot
than-
ones.
Yeah, we were talking about hot ones. I think
Yeah.
got a really good reaction.
Yeah.
We'd like to do that again. So if there's
Yes.
any other things that you see, like obviously we watch around other
Yep.
podcasts, trying, replicate ideas. If there's anything that you guys like.
And one last thing, we just did a personal appearance in Rochester right at the beginning of the playoffs. We will be doing one in the spring into the summer. We're not exactly sure. We'll keep you up to date on that, but we will be out and about.
Favorite Super Bowl food. Favorite
Super Bowl food.
Like we all make like pickies. Like
Yeah.
you call them pickies?
Yes, my
Yeah.
mom does too. It'll be
Okay.
pickies. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm just it's nachos, it's chips. I mean, I
You
have a
love
problem.
chips.
I know I have
Yeah,
a
you
problem.
love
with it.
chips.
Yeah.
I'm a chip buffalo chicken
Yeah.
and dip
Yeah.
Mm.
with but I like it when you get like the French baguette cut up
Oh,
or like
that's
the
always
French
good.
roll.
Oh yeah.
Like you get the little squares,
Yeah.
like the untoasted.
Oh, I know
bread.
what you're talking about.
Mm.
That's pretty good.
I like when you
pretty
get the Italian sub and you cut it up
That's good.
and then you
Yeah.
have like 17 pieces and you're like, I
know.
only
I only
had
had-
yeah,
yeah,
I only had
Oh yeah. We'll have all that Sunday.
Okay.
It'll be loaded.
All right.
Will
for
there be
Mike-
lasagna?
No.
so ridiculous. Red
No.
sauce. It is Sunday.
No. This is full on. We're at my brother's house. It's full
Wings,
on-
pizza.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah,
have
that's
that.
classic.
Yeah.
Shout out Angelo Chandra, my college roommate. He watches the pod. He said he just texted me today saying historic humps was very funny.
Yeah.
And then he listed why we're the best Bills podcast.
Oh,
that he
Nice.
that's
listens to
very
all the
Thank
time.
sweet. We appreciate that. All right. For Dan and Mike, I'm Jenna. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let us know in the comments what you want to see content-wise this offseason. Well, plenty more coverage on the Buffalo Plus channel. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time here on Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris.
Go Birds.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.